All right, get ready. Ready.
Yep.
All right,
Shalom,
you're live.
shalom,
You're
shalom.
live. Hold on. You're live now.
Shalom, shalom. Yisrael. This is Yehonatan Dawit with you here, Yahweh for Christians, gmail.com, on what they call April the 12th, 2020. I am pleased and honored to be with you here with Melvin Currie, who is a representative of the Baltimore Civilian Review Board. I am putting a hold for this week on our series on the 7 called out assemblies. We're going to resume next week, and I may do an hour-long special to catch up. I may have to do 2 so-called churches next week, so I'll fill you in and let you know whether we can do that. In the meantime, I'm humbled and honored to have Mr. Currie. Mr. Currie, are you there?
I'm here.
Thank you very much for getting up early on this Sunday morning. Now, obviously, the topic today, we know the white elephant stinking out the room is this coronavirus. And so we'll be remiss not to even mention it. The current statistics are horrifying. Worldwide, 1,748,331 cases with 108,962 deaths. In the United States, the latest figures are 533,115 cases with 20,580 deaths. Now, people don't talk about the recovery. We have over 30,502 recoveries in the United States. In Maryland, we're kind of high, I think. We're 14th in the nation in cases with 7,694. A little bit better in the recovery rate. We have 206 deaths, which is 17th in the nation. So I do have to at least mention that. That is not the topic today. Like I said, I have Mr. Mel Currie here from the Baltimore Civilian Review Board. As you know, I've had other guests here before on this, and I wanted to bring Mr. Mel here because he knows I have something, I'm not too happy with the review board, and he spoke to me about that, and we've been talking a lot, and I'm very thankful to have him here. So, Mr. Currie, can you tell me how you got involved in this, the Civilian Review Board? Introduce yourself and talk to us about you.
Yeah, so my name is Mel Currie. I'm retired now. I worked at NSA for 25 years before my retirement. I'm a mathematician. And it's not even clear to me how I learned that first of all, the Civilian Review Board exists, and secondly, that what prompted me to submit an application to be a member of the board. It's not surprising. I'm African American. I grew up on the east end of Pittsburgh, which is not a whole lot different from many of the neighborhoods in Baltimore. And clearly, I've had encounters with police officers that have been less than friendly. And so when I found out there was an opportunity to serve on the board, I essentially threw my hat into the ring. And I've been on the board now for a little bit more than 2.5 years. I'm currently the chair, that is since January of this year.
Yes. And you said 2 years? How many years you been in?
A little more than. I started in 2017 in early summer.
Oh, okay.
So we're coming up on 3 years really. I don't think I was sworn in until the late summer of that year, but my involvement, in fact, my participation began a little bit earlier than my formal swearing in, which was delayed as these things go.
Right. So I met you the first time I was there. You was not at the city hall meeting. It was at I forget the other building where it was. And I stood up and and when it's time for the, I guess, the regular civilians to speak, and I was appalled at the process of the meeting. I mean, it really was disheartening to me. And then I think it was maybe it was that week or the following month where you introduced yourself to me, and I guess to help show that there was some success. That's when I got this looked at this video you gave me, which was very heartening. It did uplift my spirits because I forgot about that case, the Calvin Wilkes 2014 case. Um, and that was successful. That made the national news. And talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I believe that was one of the, it may not have been the very first meeting I took part in, but certainly well, it was among the first two or three. And the case was rather dramatic, where
Yeah.
instead of police officers essentially walking away from an exchange, which was essentially entirely a verbal exchange, decided to escalate, and one of the two people involved ended up in the hospital, and of course with various charges, which were charges that actually should have been directed against the officers and not against the two citizens.
Right.
And so it was a very interesting case. I was not even aware that one of the complainants was actually in the room when we discussed the case. But a traumatic case where a woman, the two complainants were both African American. This was downtown, and there was a woman driving by with her husband, a woman not African American, who was so appalled by what she saw that she jumped out of the car and essentially started taking pictures. And
That was very fortunate.
this is downtown Baltimore, and she stops in traffic and inserts herself into the situation.
Yes.
And stayed with the case.
Yeah.
For quite a while. So that was a case. I really view right now, given the constraints that exist by statute on the Civilian Review Board, we do the best we can to air grievances and try to work to remove those constraints. There is no one on the Civilian Review Board that wants to be ineffective. That's not what we want. But we are up against legislation needs to be enacted, or legislation needs to be changed that was enacted. In particular, the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights is an example of how officers are shielded from the public scrutiny that they need to have if we're going to have any sort of trust in our communities with police officers.
Now, Mel, uplifting as that video was, and I was very thankful for it. That was 6 years ago, and just last month, can you hear me?
So our case was, when we considered it, that was under 3 years ago. So
Yeah.
Not 6.
Okay, so it was 3 years ago when it was taken, and just last month, the headlines in the Baltimore Sun reads, "Baltimore police misconduct goes unchecked." That case would not have ended that way if there was no video. You know, I should not be a good citizen and stop at the red light because there's a camera there. You know, I should stop at the red light because it's the law. And it was very, that woman hadn't stopped and taken that video, it may not have been the same. If we look at, so what I did was this past several days, I just looked at the newspaper and just looked at some of the headlines. On April the 8th, we had a 38-year-old man named Eton Tanzamore who had his hands raised as the officers came to the call. It was a call of a gunshot, and the officers' names were Mummy, Pavernick, and Wick Zulis. So Mummy and Pavernick came out of the vehicle shooting. And last year I did a series about lasted about 4 weeks when I highlighted cases with video of things like this. So officers routinely come out of the vehicle shooting. Came out the vehicle shooting, and then the driver was Officer Wick Zulis. When he got out, he did the same thing. Say, yeah, I'm killing this 30-year-old man who had his hands raised, his own video, and this Wick Zulis, that's his 5th involvement of police firing and killing of a civilian in the last 10 years.
I'm aware of the case.
Yeah, well, no, you don't have this case yet. I'm just ready to make a point. And then,
I'm aware of this incident just from reading the papers.
yeah. And then the next day, a sergeant was caught on video coughing on a woman at the Perkins homes, and Commissioner Michael Harrison said that was disturbing and was incomprehensible. Now, our man Kobe Little, who was also on the board, and he said that this incident is emblematic of the force's failure to respect and build trust with the people of Baltimore. And I agree. He's right. He's also on the board. And just a few days ago, yeah, right. And just a few days ago, Baltimore City Police Department engaged in a dangerous car chase in which Darius Gore ended up being in a coma. He's still in a coma as of last night. He's still in a coma. And
he's been in a coma for over 3 weeks.
Wow. And then a passenger, 54-year-old man that he was taking to work, he's, I think, in physical therapy. He incurred broken bones and everything. And this is even though Foxtrot was above in pursuit. And you read the case. If you read they tracked the entire travels of this woman who was in this stolen vehicle. It was dangerous, like they was trying to make a movie and chasing this woman, which they shouldn't have done. They broke all the rules of engagement in chasing this woman. And so Mr. Gore's mother, Miss Simmons, I mean, I wonder if she was to put a complaint in, whether she would get anything out of it. So my point is this: these things they still go on to this very day.
Oh yes, of course they do, and they're going to go on for quite a while. I mean, this is once something gets in place, right? It gets into a culture. In this case, I'm talking about the culture of police forces, not just in Baltimore. This is pervasive in the United States. Once it gets into the culture, unless the citizenry is resolute and pushes its representatives in the Congress at the federal level and in the Maryland Senate and House of Delegates, unless we get on it, nothing will change.
Right.
We have a civilian review board that is supposed to, in some sense, exercise a kind of oversight, but there's nothing in the statute that gives us, for instance, any powers beyond a recommendation to the commissioner, and the commissioner is not required to even acknowledge receipt.
Yeah.
So the civilian review board can use other means. We can, as I have done, and others on the board, we speak with the press. That's a useful instrument.
Yeah. Yes.
You're part of the news media. Yes. We talk with you.
Yes.
We air these things as best we can, but given our limited, I won't even call it power, so our limited capabilities by statute, we can't simply, for instance, here's an example. I take the case of the coughing incident that you referred to.
Yeah.
We can't decide that we're just going to investigate that.
Right.
We can't do that. Someone has to file a complaint with us first. A citizen has to initiate that. And then we can investigate it. But we can't simply patrol the city and decide we're going to investigate this or that we've heard of.
Right.
Right. That's not within within the scope of the way the civilian review board was set up. So here's the way I view this. Simply the following. We have something that's called, most police forces around the country, and at least in large cities, have something called the Internal Affairs Division. Now in Baltimore, it's called the Professional Integrity Bureau. So what needs to happen is that the internal affairs should be internal. That is, yes, if it's insubordination, improper wearing of the uniform, time card fraud, that's internal affairs.
Yeah.
Anytime a police officer interacts with a citizen, that's external affairs. And that's what our civilian review board, in my view, would ideally be. Right? You interacted with a citizen, now you have to face the citizens. You know, it's sort of like if I hire someone to do landscaping, but I tell them, you're not to use Roundup in my yard. And they use Roundup anyway because they feel that's the best way to do the job. But it's my yard, right? And if I tell you, you may not use it, you can't use it, and then if you do, you have to answer to me, not to some federation of landscapers. You answer to me. And that's the way the Civilian Review Board will be ideally when we get legislation changed. You interacted with a citizen, you will come before the citizens, the Civilian Review Board, and they will decide your fate.
Right, and that's what I was. I don't know if I sent it out, but I was giving that as an example of how Baltimore City Police Department is continuing to conduct itself as if there's no oversight on their behavior at all. No, I know those cases are brand new; they're not even before you. Speaking of which, you know, I had Jillian Aldebaran on, who was the deposed secretary of the board, and some of the things she has said, and the reason why I'm even involved in this as a regular citizen, and I spoke with you, and told you that if everyone in Baltimore was like me, you could cut the police department force down to 10%. I have never had the bracelets on my arm. I've never been arrested. I've never even smoked a cigarette. I'm a righteous man. Yes, have I broke the speeding laws? I mean, things like that. But I've never had need for police to be called on me. Yet, and I'm 56 years old, I have had multiple run-ins with the police, and by the grace of the Most High Yah, have not been arrested or beaten up. But there is not one black man that I know that does not have experience of having been improperly managed by the police department or know somebody, including myself, who have had multiple nephews of mine. I've intervened for them, and my own son has been beaten up multiple times by the police officers. So what I'm saying is, if somebody like me can have run-ins, anybody, born and raised in Baltimore can have it if I can have them. Now, what Jillian said was that the Baltimore City Civilian Review Board said the same thing you said. It's kind of powerless. She said they can't write its own bylaws. Now, that is ridiculous, that you can't even write your own bylaws.
I would say that's not true. We can write our own bylaws. We have, so let me I think, try to correct that. We can write our own bylaws. Our staff, we are housed by the Office of Equity and Civil Rights, and headed up by Darnell Ingram, and deputy to him is Ray Parat. They are both employees of the city. They provide support to us, investigators, space, et cetera. They have advised us that it would be good to put it through the law department. But we don't have to, despite what Julian says, we don't have to take their advice. We can act independently. We do not have to submit our bylaws. I simply don't care if we submit our bylaws. The law department can give us advice if they want to, but at the end of the day, there are bylaws. I'm talking to you today should talk with the legal department of the city. No, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'm not an employee of the city. I feel that I'm effectively the civilian review board. I'm not a juror. I'm not paid
Right.
for this.
Exactly.
Right? So essentially, we had this same struggle with Andre Davis a year and a half ago, where we said we're not signing your confidentiality agreement. It says that we may not discuss our findings and recommendations with the public or third parties. I don't know if third parties are different from the public, but I'm not going to get into that. No, we wouldn't sign it. It was a 4-month struggle.
Yeah.
Right? So
Very public struggle, too.
It's very much like the beginning of the civil rights movement, where we had leaders of civil rights movement many of them had no public office, no legal standing, but they went public. So yes, we could be advised we have to do this and we have to do that, but if you believe you're independent, don't worry about what you're advised and what you're told you can't do. Do what you feel you should do. Act independently if that's what you feel you are. And that's where I agreed with Jillian on just about everything she wanted and vision. But I'm not going to carp with the Office of Civil Rights about what they think we should do or what they think we shouldn't do. I'm going to do what I think we should do, period, and move on.
So further, some other things she said here on this broadcast, and also right there in the meeting, was that that the files were not maintained, that there was no institutional memory, and just hearing that process was very frustrating to me. Very frustrating hearing her trying to get very basic information. She said that the Office of Civil Rights submitted a budget where you have no knowledge, let alone input, of the budget at all, and that. And by the way, I told you that I filed. I don't know, and you're right. It's probably not gonna get anywhere, but I did file an official complaint to the Office of Internal Inspector General, I.M. Cummings, for the $650,000 that the OCR gets, because the monies to me is not producing what it should produce. But there is no institutional memory. And there's and you mentioned the law department, but the law department defends the Baltimore City Police Department and Baltimore City.
Well, yeah,
so how do you get anything from that?
Let me speak to the several points that you've raised. I'll take the last one first.
Okay.
Right. So almost 2 years ago, Bridal Pearson and I, as representatives of the board, met with Andre Davis and some of his members of his legal team. And that's when I said to Andre, we need independent counsel. And he said, no, we'll represent you. We represent all city agencies. I said, well, first of all, we're not all city agents. We're not a city agency.
Right.
We're state. We are an entity created by the state of Maryland. Secondly, even if we were,
you're not paid.
It's not as if the Department of Public Works and Office of Civil Rights are engaged in one telling the other that you should terminate these employees. They stay in their own lane.
Right.
We get in. It's our job to get into the BPD's lane. You are playing chess against yourself when you try to do this. And he said, when I play chess against myself, I always win. And I said, and you always lose.
Oh, beautiful. I like that.
And while you're playing, it's sort of like Nero fiddling while Rome burns. And so we went back and forth, and eventually he wanted us to sign this gag order. We didn't. We refused to do it. Our staff had to because they were city employees, and so he ended up advising the BPD not to share its investigative reports with us, which they are required by statute to do. So he ended up playing chess against himself, and what ended up in the paper 4 months later when he was relented, that yes, you think you won, but in fact you lost, right? And he had to then advise the BPD to resume giving us our reports. So on the matter of the budget, which you mentioned, we are established by the state with an unfunded mandate. So there's nothing in the statute that says that we have to be given a penny. The city is putting money into the Civilian Review Board, but they're not. All they're required to do is name an administrator. But they've done more than that. The statute needs to be changed so that the board has control over its funding. So this is a legislative matter, which Jill Carter, one of the things she's doing is trying to push for a greater empowerment of the Civilian Review Board. File maintenance, well, that sloppiness certainly did exist.
Yes.
We have now a staff, and I'm working with them as chair. I'm quite happy with their attempts to fix or at least salvage what had been neglected in the past when in fact the board was simply passive. We're not that anymore with this resuscitated board. But so what we need is, first of all, be resolute in wanting to change, work with our staff to make those change, and something that I feel Jillian could have exercised more was a little patience, not indulgence, but to get the work done. We're not going to sit there and chastise the people who are trying their best to fix past mistakes.
Okay,
right?
moving on, Mel, because I got to move on with the time. So here's some of your challenges. Here's some of the things that are frustrating. In June 2019, the disciplinary actions of 12 officers who were found with misconduct were dismissed because Internal Affairs did not bring charges within 1 year as mandated. 85% of the cases that come on your table, 85% that are sent to the Baltimore City Review Board are already expired. In 2018, let me finish this. Respond to this. Respond.
I would play with the numbers, but that is an exaggerated case. But yes, you're right. The point is, let's not put a percentage on it. We have far too cases that in the past have expired a long time ago before the current incarnation of the board was in existence. It's something we're pushing to rectify. But we can't. I can't go back 4 or 5 years and change history.
And look at this. Okay.
We are well aware of that.
And in 2018, and this is big, consent decree convened an expert panel who concluded that the Civilian Review Board, and this is a quote, the CRB is antithetical to police accountability and should be scrapped. In 2019, all bills.
That was issued by the COTEF, or who issued that?
The consent decree, I got this out of the Sun papers when I interviewed Jill and the others, and it said the Civilian Review Board was antithetical to police accountability and should be scrapped. I didn't cite it. And in 2019, all bills submitted to improve the process in 2019, all of them failed. And then this year, Senator Jill Carter's bill for a fully funded autonomous citizen-run oversight agency was withdrawn.
Yeah, so Jonathan, I need to jump in. The Civilian Review Board cannot do anything about the failure of legislation in the state. That's what all citizens have to be aware of and change the legislation. What the Civilian Review Board does, and what I, as a member and chair currently of the Civilian Review Board, is I'm making the best I can with what I have. If in fact legislation needs to be changed, and it absolutely does, then that's going to require all citizens to give us more power so we can become the external affairs board. Any interaction with the city is in our domain. No categories to be excluded. But that's not the fault of us who are doing the best we can with what we have, rather than doing nothing. Right.
Now, I got, with a minute left, I'd like to say I had Jillian Alderman, Roland Patterson, and Doc Cheatham, and they're both about...
Jillian Alderman is her name.
Yeah, Aldebrand, I'm sorry. And Roland Patterson and Cheatham, I had them on, and they are from the Baltimore City Review Board Coalition. But I asked them all this question I'm getting ready to ask you to end this, and I thank you very much. I'm so humbled by you coming here. I asked them this all question. I said, where do you see the Civilian Review Board in 5 years? Cheatham says, I'm not just going to be brief, he said that he states that he expects the Inspector General and Senator Jill Carter to move the Baltimore City Review Board to a state agency. So, what do you say? Where do you see this board in 5 years? Do you agree with that, or what do you see, or what should it be?
So I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. I can only say what I would like to see happen. And I outlined, I pointed in that direction. I want a board that's independent, basically has more than powers of power of recommendation. If in fact the commissioner or somebody in the BPD disagrees with us, then that has to be arbitrated, and they have to give reasons why they disagree. So yes, I want more for the Civilian Review Board.
Should it go to the state agency? Should it be a state agency?
So it is in some sense a state agency now. It was in fact created by the state, not by the city.
Right.
But it was given to the city as far as the city taking care of us. So that piece of it has to be addressed.
Okay, Mel. So thank you very much. I'm up against time. I do gotta go. But listen, Mel, I'm very honored and thankful for you, man. You're wonderful. I'm glad you're there. I'm glad you're there. But until I talk to you again, thank you very much, my man. I gotta end it.
Thanks for having me on, John.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take us out.
All right, Israel, shalom, shalom. I thank you very much. Listen, look for me. I'm going to talk about on my live Facebook program that the name you claim is a shame. Acts 7:45 and Hebrews 4:8. Anyway, until next week, shalom, shalom. Y'all home time for Christians at gmail.com. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.